This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
That we talked about from Kelly Bidlin a moment ago. By the way, Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you here. We are also going to break down the MLB slate in just a little bit. Still scoreless in the lone game we have in action right now between the Pirates and Cubs at 0-0. And keeping tabs on all things Masters, because look at Rory McIlroy. Yeah. He continues, after being in a tie for the lead yesterday, to pulling away here on the front nine after going even par on the first hole. Birdie, birdie, birdie. He's 8 under with a 3-hole advantage right now, a 3-stroke advantage, that is, to be the defending champ right now. Obviously, a long way to go. It's only Friday at the Masters early on, but he is looking as comfortable as can be.
Yeah, I was just watching his tee shot right here on 5 and the subsequent shot after that. So it looks like he's in pretty good form, as you mentioned, and we've seen it before from Rory. So still plenty of time left, but the fact that you can build up a lead like this is going to be pretty good if you can. Justin Rose not doing himself any favors. There's been times where he's let some of his game get astray. He actually probably should have a little bit of a better score than he has right now, but he is through 17 wrapping up his day. So we'll see what he's got coming up. Maybe he can cut this down to a 2-stroke lead for Rory, but Rory, of course, still only through 4, so plenty of time for him to stretch this thing out. And Sam Burns and others still within shooting distance. Reed having a 1-under day. He is only through, what are we talking about here for Reed? 7, so plenty of time as well for him.
For McIlroy, I do find it interesting, at least to an extent, about, especially given the form that he came in. There were a lot of questions. He had the recent back issues, but the success that he had at the Masters last year, and finally being able to complete the Grand Slam and being able to put on the jacket and all of the things. And yet, when he comes in, like, despite the form, he's talking about is how he feels like there's a different confidence and there's a lack of a weight. What are you're? Oh,
sorry, I'm not listening to you. Spieth.
Oh, no.
Spieth just singed the edge here. He was trying to get out of the sand.
You should see how mobile this guy's eyebrows are. I'm like, what am I saying that's wrong?
It's because I just got them waxed. That's why. They
do you do that?
Yeah, of course. Come on now.
I didn't know that.
I mean, not very often.
My eyebrows are so blonde, there's no point.
Yeah, they get kind of crazy. You know, you gotta keep them together.
But to go back to Rory, I think it's very, very impressive given the form, how whatever happened to him last year just seems to have really taken that weight off of the shoulders. He's comfortable. He's not really, he's giving what the course takes him kind of a thing. If he has an errant shot, he finds a way to work back in on any given hole. And even after his round yesterday, he was really talking about having a more patient approach.
Mm-hmm. I would say I was very patient out there today. Took advantage of the par 5s, held a couple of nice putts there on the 13th and 15th. And yeah, it's going to require patience the next 3 days as well. It's only going to get tougher and firmer. The greens are only going to get faster. And I like that about it. I feel like it really makes this golf course, it is a tactical test already, but even more so. You just have to think your way around here. And, I think experience is going to count for a lot come the end of the week.
Yeah, par 5 scoring is something Kelly Bidlin brought up multiple times, the Long Shots podcast, and when he talked to us. So far for Rory, he has birdied on all of the par 5s he has faced up to this point yesterday, and the par 5-2 today. He also got a birdie there. So it's a really good point for him, not only the patience, but the fact that he's taking advantage of these par 5s and the scoreable opportunities. That has really helped him out. He's going to have about a 7-8 foot putt for par right now coming up. So a challenging one, nonetheless, to see if maybe he can keep this going.
And if you look or listen to any of the odds makers or sportsbook managers around Vegas and throughout the country, almost everyone to a man was saying that there wasn't a lot of money coming in on Rory or Scottie Scheffler to that end, right? 2 of the top 4 on the odds board coming into this thing weren't really getting played in this spot.
Well, for Rory, at the very least, as we've seen and the trends would tell you, it's just really hard to repeat here. So that's always one of the big things as we have talked about
Only
before.
Been 3 all time.
Yep, and so that's like one big, strong trend that is working against McIlroy for this tournament. As for Scheffler, today, I actually just watched him. He just dropped a stroke on 15, and he parred 16 here. So Scheffler right now, he is 2 over for the day and just even for the tournament. We have seen these big rounds from him, so I wouldn't be shocked if he were to push his way up to a top 10. He's only tied for 21st right now at even. But right now, it seems that Scottie Scheffler, remember how yesterday started. I mean, he eagled 2, he got a birdie on 3, thought maybe his dude was going to come out swinging, and all of a sudden really quieted down, and today has not been his game so far.
Scheffler in the outright market right now after entering today at I think like plus 300 in that range, 31-1 right now. Yeah. Rory McIlroy is actually odds on in the outright winner market on DraftKings at minus 105, as that just goes down to even money. So I don't know if something happened or just like some bets coming into that end. But top 5 minus 575 now to finish to that end. Justin Rose is your second shot on the board at near 10-1. Patrick Reed around 12-1. Sam Burns around 14-1, and Xander Schauffele 15-1. I wanted to.
I was just gonna say that was Scheffler's tee shot right there that you were watching, and hit right in the fairway. So on 18, he's working something here.
I wanted to follow up with you as well about Colin Morikawa, because this was another guy that we talked a lot about leading into the tournament, and the questions about his back issues. And we played the sound from him earlier this week talking about how it's not really the back that was bothering him, but the questions about everything else in his body. He, after the round yesterday, said that this was one of the most difficult days and starts of his life going into round one. Listen to this.
Yeah, honestly, probably the toughest round I've ever played. I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to watch my swings, and I kind of don't. I mean, every year, the Masters is amazing because you can go and watch every shot you hit, and I'm just fighting. Like, it's a battle. Like, I don't think I've been able to get comfortable out there and trusting the entire body. And it's not painful, but it's not easy. Like, I think walking's been the hardest part. And, I'm just one shot at a time. I mean, it all started when I woke up. Like, I've never felt this nervous, like, in my life. I mean, I've played in majors, I've played in other events, and I think it's a trust factor, right? And I think when it happened on the course at the Players, there's a certain doubt factor of like, is this going to happen? Is this not? I've been hitting balls for the past week and a half, but not comfortably. And by that, it's just more like my head gets in the way, and the head can stop so much.
It's interesting, especially coming off of the national championship this week, JVT. We talked about Yaxel Lendenberg and how honest he was in his halftime interview. Sure. That is a very honest and transparent answer from Colin Morikawa at one of the biggest tournaments out there, period, on the way that he is feeling and the mental game as well as where his body is at. Yeah,
and it's kind of shown as we have seen it from him here. So that so far we're at even. He's through 5. He's 2 over for the tournament. I don't know if he'll flirt with the cut line. We'll see how the rest of this goes. It's down back out to 4 over. But, look, this was the risk. He was one of the outrights as well. I tried to take the big shot here with Morikawa and see if maybe he would overcome whatever he's talking about and get it done, but ultimately can't. Now, you still got plenty of time, maybe push for a top 10, but one would think if this continues, we'll see how he does today. And we've talked about this a lot, too. The arduous nature of just walking the course when you have a ton of injuries. These guys have said it a lot. This is a little bit of a tougher course to just go back up and down and walk, the hills, everything like that. Tiger's talked about the effect that it's had on his back in past tournaments. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's also part of what he's feeling right now.
The back specific injury, I think, especially is a part of that with the hilly nature of the course. Because you mentioned where that cut line is at 4. John Rahm, who we discussed a good bit earlier, who is, of course, one of the big betting favorites. He and Bryson DeChambeau, 2 of the most popular players coming into the Masters this week. He is at that number right now. So T for 49 at 4 over for the tournament after shooting 2 under today to get back into that spot. DeChambeau was there, although now he goes from even par to 1 over on the day. So 5 over for the tournament, having him just below that projected cut line where things sit right now. So still crazy to think, though, 2 of these guys that everywhere you looked, any preview article you were reading, these guys were talked about. They are really struggling at Augusta.
Rory drops 1, by the way. So he bogeyed
back to
that.
7 under.
Bogeyed 5. So I think it was more about the second shot. Missed the green and had to make up for it. Set himself up for a long putt for par and could not get it. So that is a dropped 1 there, 7 under and 3 under. Should be 2 under for the day.
The best day by far out there, Tyrrell Hatton, who finished his round earlier here in the morning, 6 under for the day, 4 under for the tournament to be in that T4 spot. Wyndham Clark, also a really solid day from him at 4 under. His day is complete, as is Justin Rose's at 3 under. A good chunk of guys shooting 3 under for the day and trying to build off of that. Akshay Bhatia, another guy that kind of did a pretty solid climb throughout the course of the day, up 21 spots in a T12 with 3 birdies over the first 7 holes.
Yeah, we're watching Lowry. This looks like it's like a 2-foot putt for par. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good.
I had to break in.
We've enjoyed the viewing opportunities of the Masters.
Yeah, I apologize again. America probably good camera etiquette says I should look at you, but I can't.
Well, no, but it's actually I don't mind it because I would rather you be making the faces looking at the screen than half looking at the screen and looking at me and thinking that the faces are directed at what I'm saying.
Yeah, you got to stop that. Yeah,
I can't help it, dude.
We've worked together long enough that you understand.
I am telling you, I don't think it's the waxing. You have the most mobile and like illuminating eyebrows I've ever seen.
I can't lift.
You have good facial character.
Don't one-shot me. You know,
Look at those things. Can you give me like a? Do you know what? Can you smell what the Rock is cooking? Can you give me that eyebrow in the one shot?
I can only lift like one of my eyebrows. I can't do the other.
Actually, that was a little villainous. I don't know. You've got like a little bit of an arch.
I can't do the other eyebrow.
You can't?
No.
Can you wink with both eyes or just one?
Like that.
Okay, don't do that again.
Like not consecutively, but like yeah, left eye. Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to do them consecutively. Like last I checked.
It's called blinking.
It's not. Anything else you're looking for, though? I know we got to hit a break here, but it's really cool to have live Masters action on as we go.
No, I mean, so we've talked. We can hit this a little bit more later, but walking through some of the stats for these rounds in the tournament so far and where these guys are at and where they're succeeding a ton. I mean, I keep going back to your guy Rose. His putter. He's barely positive with the putter so far today, and I would assume that he's going to get that back, and maybe it's a shot for you there. And there's a couple of guys that have not been putting well for the tournament, and I think those are some signs for a downfall potentially.
All right, you hear that music. That means we got to step aside here real quickly. When we come back, plenty of baseball action coming up later on this evening. We will preview that card and more when we return here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Looking for an edge this baseball season? Check out the VSiN Daily Diamond, sharp daily betting baseball insight all season long. Former MLB pitcher Jensen Lewis and our boy Jave Ross break it all down, lines, totals, props, and futures. Subscribe to the VSiN Daily Diamond wherever you get your podcast. And while you're there, search VSiN for our full podcast lineup as well. Everything from the NBA and college sports to horse racing and more. VSiN is the Sports Betting Network. And of course, we're going to have our good buddy Zachary Cohen join us a little bit later on in the program. Speaking of the NBA podcast, Hardwood Handicappers, you can get Money Moves wherever you get your podcast as well. If you want to catch up on the show, you miss it. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel back here with you. We are going to dive into some MLB conversation in a moment, but I did just want to say I saw this from ESPN Insights as we were just talking about the Masters. Obviously, a lot of fun going on out there at Augusta, but when it comes to Tyrrell Hatton's great day that he had, he hit every green in regulation in round two. It's just the third time a golfer has done it at the Masters since 2003. So a very impressive performance for him to climb up the leaderboard here this morning.
Seems sustainable. If it's the first time it's happened since 2003, I'm sure you can replicate it again tomorrow.
Probably not. Let's get into the MLB slate, though, shall we?
Sure.
We talked about this Diamondbacks-Phillies game a little bit earlier with Will Hill when he joined the program, which, again, dovetailing back to the podcast conversation. If you missed any of that breakdown with Will, you can always get the podcast and hear all of his picks. But Arizona beat the Mets yesterday 7-1 as a plus 130 dog. They've won 4 or 5 now to get over 500 early in the season. Even bigger dog, though, today against the Phillies.
Did you see Eduardo Rodriguez yesterday? Eduardo Rodriguez was great again yesterday.
Yep.
So it's pretty interesting what Arizona has unearthed there. We'll see what his next few starts bring. Today, you get Soroka on the hill, who's going to oppose Jesus Luzardo. I would assume like it kind of depends on what you really buy into for underlying metrics and what you expect as you move into a larger sample size. Through 2 starts, the one thing that really sticks out, if you're a big expected ERA guy or gal, is that Mike Soroka should be getting his ass kicked, but he has not been. 0.9 ERA through 2 starts, but an expected ERA of 5.76. A lot of that has to do with a few things here, but the biggest one is the contact numbers for him. Through these 10 innings, he's given up 5 barrels, which is not very good. Hard hit rates around 45%. Again, we're talking about 2 starts, so just keep that in mind. But he has not really paid for some of the transgressions, some of the hard hit balls that he has allowed, some of the walk issues, at least in his second start, 3-3 in terms of walks to strikeouts against the Atlanta Braves. You're not going to get by in a big sample size doing that. However, in his first start, Stormy against Detroit, struck out 10 and only walked 1. So command, it's been all over the place through 2 starts. So what do you get and what do you expect? But if he's going to continue to give up some hard contact to this Phillies lineup, I would expect that that's going to probably burn him here. And on the other side, you get Luzardo, who probably has some signs that he should be bought on. A 4.97 ERA through these 12 2/3 that he's pitched, but expected ERA, FIP, expected FIP, all of those numbers about 2.5 or lower. So one would expect that with Luzardo, the way that he's not given up any really solid hard contact to this point outside of a few barrels, he's going to bounce back somewhat nicely here, that this is accurately priced at 186, despite the fact that Soroka has been pitching as well as he has, and maybe he gets dinged up a little bit finally.
Yeah, I know you introduced me to the Baseball Savant page last year,
Sure.
And when you look at Luzardo and the percentile stuff, red is good, blue is bad, and that thing is deep red across the majority of early metrics here. I know he had a tough opener against the Rangers, but dialed it in against the Rockies. Just 1 run allowed and 11 strikeouts that day, combined for 18 strikeouts in 2 games, too. So if that's something that you're looking into or you're interested in more of those strikeout props, that could potentially be an angle as well.
The big thing, too, with those, we can talk about percentiles and short season data, so it's not really that. Sure. But what matters right now is if you look at some of the small sample sizes of data, for me at least, chase rate, I could say it, whiff rate, are those things high for some of these guys? Are they initiating some of these swings and misses? Are they getting these guys to do it? Luzardo's doing it at a pretty high level. Chase rate of 42%, whiff rate of 38%. So that'll carry on, and eventually everything will even out. So it looks like a dude that, as we kind of know at this point, is going to be worth backing why he's priced the way he is.
Also, as we're keeping tabs on this Pirates-Cubs game that is currently live, we're still scoreless here in the bottom of the 4th, but Shota Imanaga has historically had a lot of success against this Pirates team. He entered today, giving up just 1 earned run in 26 innings against Pittsburgh. 4 innings in, no hits allowed. This one, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. A really, really solid start for him. And for a Pirates team that JVT had seemed to be turning things around at the plate a little bit. Nothing doing here early against Imanaga.
No, but Imanaga's great. He's going to be in contention for some of these awards, too. And I think that you would expect that he is going to put out a very solid performance every time he's up every 5 days. So I don't think it's shocking that he would be pretty dominant in his start. And I'm a big fan of it, but we'll see if this carries on through the rest of this one. I would think today he's probably going to be able to continue this going. What's he at pitch count-wise? What do we have here? For Imanaga. We haven't really watched too much of this, but
he is
71 pitches through 4, so he's getting somewhat efficient as well with his pitch count.
Chicago minus 215 live favorites right now. Run total has changed a bit, although it was obviously a short total to begin with, getting bet down from 7.5 to 6.5. Live total, though, currently 3.5 with the way that these pitchers are going. Let's move it along, though, to the rest of the slate coming up later on today. Marlins and Tigers, Chris Paddock and Kiter Montero going head-to-head here. Marlins handled business yesterday against the Reds. We were live on air as this was going on, 8-1. Got out of that series 2-2, so 8-5 on the early season for them. Meanwhile, not the start the Tigers would like to have had right now. 5-game skid and just got swept by the Twins. Anything early stand out to you in this one, Detroit?
I mean, Montero's off to a pretty good start, so you do wonder if that's going to be something. His 1 start against St. Louis, how much do you really put into it? 4 1/3, 2 earned runs. Didn't really give up a ton in terms of hard contact, but it's only 1 start against a pretty bad team. So do you expect that a guy that a season ago had an ERA in the 4s is going to be someone you can rely on here, especially with a team like the Tigers, who generally you're going to be laying prices with, and you're seeing here at minus 143. Underlying after the last start, 246 FIP, but again, we're talking about 1 start, so we don't know what to do with that. Strikeouts and whiff rate, things like that in that first start, actually a little bit worse than it was last year, so maybe a guy like Montero due for a little bit of a fall back down. But the Marlins, we saw them yesterday. They finally kind of wake up. Their lineup gets there. We saw through the first 2 games of that series against the Reds, though, not a lot of pop there and not supporting some really good outings for some of the pitchers that started some of the games for him. Yeah. For Paddock, maybe you can look at some strikeout numbers. His strikeout stuff early through 8 2/3 is pretty solid, but we know what he's been throughout the course of his career here. And so far this year, at least in terms of earned runs allowed and the command, they've been an issue. So don't know if I would expect either one of these guys to really take me home. But one of them you got to lay 143 with. So I think this is an easy one to scratch through. I feel like this is somewhat well priced as we're looking at Detroit with Montero.
I hope for Detroit's sake, though, that maybe being back at home will help them get back on track here, because they have dropped 9 of their last 11 games just in general, but all of those have come on the road. So the one series that they did have at home, beat St. Louis 2-1. Maybe they can get back on track here against Miami. Angels, Reds, your boys. How you feel?
Kanowitz is going to start. It's fine. Like, I actually like Will's angle. Will Hill was with us earlier. He had the first 5 team total under, if I remember correctly, for the Angels at 1.5. Would agree with the assessment with Burns. Burns has been absolutely fantastic, and we know what this Angels team is. Pretty reliant on hitting home runs. Not a lot of guys who are going to hit for high average, and I think Burns can come out here and really dominate them. The strikeout stuff for him, whiff rate, chase rate, all really high, and I would expect that he's going to have a pretty good game here. Kanowitz is an interesting case. You know, if you look through these first couple of outings that he had so far, 9 2/3, didn't go insanely deep. You can make a case that some of the underlying metrics he deserved a little bit better. He does have some decent swing and miss stuff that looks like it might be better from a season to go. But over the course of 111 innings in 2025, he looked like he was going to have a lot of issues generating swings and misses and some really big command issues. And so far, the swing and miss stuff is there, but the command has really been a problem for Kanowitz. And again, it popped up here in the early going. So I would not expect a long start from Kanowitz. And even with this Reds lineup, I think if you remember, I don't really like this Reds lineup, and why would you? They're at the bottom of the league right now. Not a lot of pop for them at all. I think maybe your floor is raised if you're a guy like Kanowitz, but he hasn't really shown anything that is worth backing. So I would agree with Burns out there. Low-scoring affair. Angels team total under, as we talked about with Will. Maybe getting this thing under 9-2. Adam Burke's brought this up a ton. This Reds lineup, even though they play out here in Cincinnati, hasn't really benefited from playing in a ballpark like this that helps you go deep. And I think maybe the Angels can take advantage of it, but I think Burns is too good. Maybe in another game in this series, but not today.
Yeah, their lineup hasn't been there, but interesting batting numbers for the Angels because they're second to last in Major League Baseball in batting average right now, but they're 5th in the league in home runs, so they've been able to get the ball out of the yard.
That's what they do, man. That's what they did last year, too. It's just, you're just really relying on some of those homers, and when you're very reliant on that outcome, then there's going to be stretches where you get red hot and you're just mashing, and there's going to be stretches where you get ice cold and you get beat up by the Braves in your home park, and that's exactly what happened. Quite literally got beat up by the Braves.
With a baseball. Yeah. We'll have the best bets, of course, at the end of the hour, but anything else Major League Baseball-wise you want to hit here before the break?
I mean, I'm really interested to see what Luis Gil has today for the Yankees against the Rays. We saw the Rays open up a $1.40 favorite tonight against the Yankees, or on the overnight, I should say. 9.5 under was the opening total, -115. So Gil's coming up from AAA, making his season debut, but we're seeing -122 now after we got the news that Gil was going to get this start. Command is kind of the theme as we're talking about here, and Gil in his time in the majors, and as we have seen in his career, does have a problem with the pitch count and keeping it down and walking some guys, and we saw that pop up at AAA. Gave up some hits, gave up some command, or excuse me, gave up some walks as well. And Mats isn't anything to write home about, but maybe this is where you get the most mortal version of the Yankees. Gil on the hill, an offense that has not been playing particularly well, and in a ballpark that suppresses offense somewhat too.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Yankees just one hit yesterday in a 1-0 loss to the A's. They have really struggled at the plate, tied with the Seattle Mariners right now for dead last in Major League Baseball in hits. On that note, we got to step aside, but excited to have our buddy Zach Cohen join the program coming up next. I've said buddy like 5 times today. You're my friends. I got to relax. However,
our colleague, Zach Cohen,
to dive into the NBA slate coming up today. I know he's got a couple props, and hopefully he can give me some angles on what additional legs I should add to my moneyline parlay tonight.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
NBA slate upon us tonight as we near the end of the regular season on Sunday. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Excited to have our NBA analyst and, of course, VSiN.com senior editor Zachary Cohen join us on the Progressive guest line. I refrained. I'm proud of myself. For whatever reason, Zach, I've been calling everyone and their mother buddy, including JVT, and we know that's not the reality. How are you today?
Uh-oh,
no, he can't hear us.
All of a sudden we can't hear. Now Zach can't hear us.
Everything was great when we were
just talking
to
to him the whole time. Oh, well.
I love what he sent us the other day watching the show on Tuesday of his little baby.
Yeah, watching the show.
Like the guest list, Adam Burke on the program when they were watching together. Very sweet. I am excited to talk to Zach, though, because we looked at some of his plays today. Hardwood Handicappers came out earlier this morning, and he was doing a breakdown of some of the different angles on tonight's slate. And as a leg in a 2-leg parlay he put together, he did put the Charlotte Hornets.
Is that true, Zach? I think we have Zach with us. Is that true?
Yes, I do have the Hornets parlayed with the Hawks. So I think that Charlotte just has way more to play for than Detroit. Pistons have already locked in the number 1 seed. They are relatively healthy. I mean, compared to where they've been the last few weeks, they're in great shape, but I just don't think you could really make up for one team desperately needing a victory while you're playing for absolutely nothing. And similar in the other game with the Hawks taking on the Cavaliers, Cleveland seems to not care very much about this game. They're sitting Donovan Mitchell, sitting Sam Merrill, sitting Jared Allen. I did see Jalen Tyson was upgraded to available, so he will be out there, but I do think the Hawks will get it done because if Atlanta wins tonight, they clinch a top 6 seed, so they're playing for a ton.
So, Zach, exactly what you laid out about Atlanta, I wanted to pair that with the Denver Nuggets today, knowing that OKC is resting all of their guys today. But you put those two together, it's like minus 189. So I needed one more dance partner, and Charlotte felt like it could be that piece because it gets you up to plus 125. But I wasn't sure if that was a little bit too dicey considering Cade Cunningham is back and all of the stuff with the Pistons.
Yeah, I mean, I think Houston's also a really good one for tonight. I mean, if they win, that'd be 9 straight. And, they are trying to get the number 4 seed in the Western Conference. And they're going up against the Minnesota team that's currently locked into number 6. No, upward or downward mobility. And they do have some starters missing tonight. So I do think this will be a game that Houston ends up winning. They've been playing very well as well. So I do think that you're getting a scorching hot team. So I think that that's a good parlay leg for this evening.
What do you make of what Denver's doing? They're listing everybody as questionable. They haven't locked up home court advantage yet. I would assume they give it a shot today. Are you going to gamble like that? I know it's not one of your bets, but what do you make of what they're going to do here?
I do think the Nuggets are going to play some guys tonight. I mean, why wouldn't you? OKC's trying to give you a free win. Go for it. Just play some of these guys. You have a day off tomorrow. I think you could go out there and tell them, try not to get injured. Play a little bit less than 100%. I know that might not work against a team that's playing very hard, but I don't think you're going to get that out of OKC. I did play Jared McCain, though, over his point total in this game at 19.5. Historically, this season, in the 2 games he's played without SGA, Jalen Williams, and AJ Mitchell, he scored 20 points. So I just think he's going to have a pretty big on-ball role. And Denver, even if they do play all of their guys, but this is a bottom 10 defensive team in the league. So McCain, who is a very good 3-point shooter, underrated driver, I think he'll end up having 20 plus.
Zach, I know you don't have a play on the 76ers-Pacers game today, but I am genuinely curious what your reaction was when the news came down that Joel Embiid all of a sudden had to get his appendix removed and needed surgery here right before the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I did the podcast this morning without doing much research on this because I said that I think that Embiid's going to be back for the play-in. I could not have been more wrong with that. It seems like it'll be more like 2 to 3 weeks if he is back at all. So Philly needs to win this game. They need to beat Milwaukee on Sunday. And if they do that, they have a chance of avoiding the play-in. But even if they're in the play-in without Embiid, they're going to be in trouble. So they really need some help and to finish top 6 because I think they're going to need Embiid back by game 3 or game 4 of a first-round series to have a chance of winning in the opening round. This team is so snake-bitten. It's insane. I mean, we talked about it a couple of days ago, JVT. Both of us really liked Philly as a long shot in the Eastern Conference, right along with Charlotte as a team that could potentially knock off one of the top seeds in the East. But it's going to be very difficult to do that without Embiid. I mean, you can lean kind of into playing faster with Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, and Paul George is playing really well on the wing, but they just don't have a great center position outside of Embiid.
All right, let's go to the nightcap tonight, or one of the nightcap. No, it's a late game. Phoenix and Los Angeles. Lakers get your Suns. Your Suns are locked in. They're going to be the host for this play-in game to start it. The question just becomes, who will they play? So they have nothing to play for. Lakers still have plenty. How do you handle this one?
Yeah, I like the Lakers on the money line. I got this at plus 127. The Suns are resting Devin Booker tonight. Also, no Jordan Goodwin, which might not seem like a huge absence, but he is one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. And Jalen Green is questionable for Phoenix. So you're going to be missing a lot of firepower, a really good feisty on-ball defender. And I have a feeling we're going to see Marcus Smart for the Lakers tonight just because he did sit out last night after being questionable. Something tells me he'll be out there this evening. But Los Angeles, like you said, they can still, get number 4 in the Western Conference playoffs. And that is absolutely huge because I think if you, host Houston in a playoff series and you can split those first 2 games at home, then all of a sudden maybe you're talking about getting Luka and Reeves back from Spain or whatever they're doing over there to potentially, combat the Rockets in the final 5 games of the series. I think there is still a chance the Lakers win the first round.
VSiN NBA analyst, senior editor at VSiN.com, Zach Cohen, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. I hope this is correct, but I was reading earlier today that the Knicks have won 12 straight against the Raptors. I know this is a potential first-round series in the Eastern Conference, but they are favored to win yet another one again today against Toronto, laying 6.5, total 221.5. Are there any angles people should be aware of in this one other than what has just been apparently very dominant history for the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, dominant history for New York. It is a big game for both. The Knicks can clinch the number 3 seed in the East by winning this game. The Raptors still trying to avoid being in the play-in. So this game will have, a heavy stakes, high, intensity feel to it. I like Brandon Ingram to go over 20.5 points, though. He has been torching the Knicks this season, averaging a little over 25 points per game in 4 meetings with them, has had 27 plus in the last 3 meetings with them. And he did just play very well in the 2-game set against the Heat. I mean, that Miami team is a complete disaster, and I think we're going to see them blow it up this summer. But I do think that Ingram is playing well coming into this one. And I've talked about it throughout the year, but the Knicks just don't defend like big scoring wings well. And I don't think that it's Anunoby and Bridges' fault. Both those guys are very good defenders. But I think that Brunson and Towns being weak defenders at their positions ends up having like a trickle-down effect on the entire New York defense. And it ends with, scrambling lineups. And I do think that Ingram's going to be able to take advantage of it.
All right, let's as we kind of look at this picture and we're settling in on these play-ins, what do you expect for these play-in matchups? I'll ask it in this way. What do you think is the ultimate breakdown for the Western Conference of who wants who? Because we have a big one tonight between Portland and L.A., and the Clippers are obviously trying to get in. But how do you think these two teams match up in a Western Conference play-in that seems pretty wide open?
I mean, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring, so I'd be leaning to the under. If anything, Portland has been a top 5 defensive team in the league since the All-Star break. Los Angeles, we know, can defend, and I do think this is going to have a playoff feel because these teams are directly next to each other in the standings. The winner of this game, if it's the Clippers, will be the number 8 seed in the Western Conference. If it's the Blazers, we go to Sunday, and we'll find out who will be the 8 there. So huge game. Both of these teams should want to win and face Phoenix. Obviously, give yourself 2 cracks at it in the Western Conference, 2 chances to make the postseason. So I think this is a really big game. I do think that Portland's going to find a way to win tonight. Just think that playing at home will be a minor edge in a game between 2 kind of evenly matched teams. But I did take Portland on an alternate spread parlayed with Houston tonight. So I mentioned Houston as a leg that I liked. 4 parlays this evening. I took the Rockets money line with the Blazers plus 8.5 just because I do think it's going to be a close game, but I don't really know that I trust them to close it out late. If it is, a 1-possession game in the final 2 minutes, I would expect Kawhi to find a way to win the game for the Clippers.
Zach, final 90 seconds. If there is as polar of an opposite as a playoff feel for a game, it's probably what we're going to get with Memphis and Utah later on today and what Brian Windhorst called the tanking Super Bowl tonight. Who loses that game?
I'm going to go with Utah. I think that there's no team in the NBA that desires to get the number 1 pick more than the Jazz. And I know that we haven't really seen it in terms of their play, but you hear all of this stuff about their connection with AJ DeBonsa and like the fact that they've been like funding his entire life. I think Utah desperately wants DeBonsa to be in a Jazz jersey next year. So I think they're going to find a way to get the job done tonight. And by get the job done, I mean lose on their home floor in front of those paying customers.
Can't wait. Zach,
That's what they want.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I mean, at least they're going to be good next year.
Hopefully.
The Jazz?
They should be, right?
Oh, they're going to be great. They're going to be very, very good. Barring injury, they're going to be very good.
What was their season win total this year, remind me?
18.5.
God, it's brutal.
I mean, they got over it.
Yes, but it's a brutal.
I know because I bet it under.
Situation. You did well on your season win totals and all, though, correct?
No, not this year.
Oh.
Nuggets. The Nuggets, if they win their next 2 games, will get over, and it'll be a split of the ones that I've played. So.
All right, I'm glad that Zach gave me a couple alternate angles for the parlay. While we are in this commercial break, I will put the bet in the account and cement what my selections are for that. We got to step aside, though. Stick around. We're wrapping up this Friday edition of Money Moves coming up after this. And good reminder as well, Hardwood Handicappers, as we talk about with Zach on Monday, a great breakdown edition getting set for the entire playoff field with the regular season ending on Sunday. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
to Money Moves. Remember, everybody, we've all got that group chat of friends filling up with the hot takes. Well, if that is the case for you, Cut is the spot to be. The social betting platform that lets you bet directly against your friends and other users on pretty much anything. So whatever you guys are talking about, sports, politics, pop culture, even personal bets, every bet is fully customizable within the app and pre-funded. So no chasing somebody down when they lose, no flaking, no excuses. And unlike traditional betting apps, Cut actually gives you cash back as well on every single bet you make, even against your friends. Now you can get 20% deposit bonus right now on your first deposit when you use the promo code VSiN. Head over to Cut, that's KUTT.com, or download in the App Store. And again, use that promo code VSiN. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you back here on Money Moves. Rory McIlroy holding on strong at 7 under, a 2-stroke lead over Justin Rose and company currently at Augusta National. Went birdie, birdie, birdie on 3 of the first 4 holes of the day. Bogeyed on 5, even par since. Only on the 8th hole today, so still a long ways to go on day 2 of the Masters. But
plenty of time to F it up.
The defending champ in good standing, at least so far.
Yeah, we don't want that, though. You don't have anything on Rory, right?
I do not.
Okay.
Neither did most of the country, apparently, though. I brought that up earlier. I feel like every odds maker that I've heard talked about this thing said, nope, no liability on Rory.
Yep. So nobody would like that if Rory McIlroy would win this thing. We're watching Jason Day right here on 11 to see what he's got. He's been one of the stories of the day, 2 under and 5 under for the tournament, tied with your boy Justin Rose, who is done for the day. So one of the many names we're watching. Chris Gotterup done. He had a good day today, 3 under. He is my guy that has the best shot at it at this point right now. Tommy Fleetwood, he's 2 under through 9, so maybe we can make a little run here.
Where's Xander?
Xander Schauffele is at 3 under as well. He's 1 under for the day through 8.
All right, yeah, I have him outright in top 10, so would like to see him hold on to that. Justin Rose, my guy in best standing, got him 32-1 and top 20 placement bet on him. So hopefully whatever he's doing, even though it's been wonky, like the play has actually been wonky for him to still have 3 under today and be in the position that he is.
Also worth noting, your projected cut at 4 over. Some of the notable names, Rahm did enough to get himself to 4 over, so the question just becomes if it changes. Siwoo Kim, so some notable names on the cut line right now. Siwoo Kim on the right side of it. Rasmus Højgaard, Patrick Cantlay. Let's see, some of the others. Victor Hovland, 2 over, so he actually is clear of it pretty well. Bryson DeChambeau, 1 under through 8 and 3 over for the tournament. So he has been flirting with disaster a bit, but doing enough so far to potentially make the cut.
Also in action right now, Pirates Cubs, and we talked about it earlier, the success that Shota Imanaga has had against the Pirates in recent years. Through 5 2/3 innings, still hasn't given up a hit. 8 strikeouts right now, just 1 walk. He is on 98 pitch count right now in the top of the 6th. So see how this plays out here. Scoreless right now out there at Wrigley Field, and this was a low total game. The pre-flop total
punched him out looking. He's through 6.
Boom.
How about that?
Boom.
And
So that's 9 Ks for Shota.
We got a good strikeout call. We got a good one. I mean, it's over now.
Oh no, it's the other side.
Yeah, I mean, come on now.
Other side.
There was the first round of the NCAA tournament, which we were going around trying to convince people to show us their best umpire strikeout calls. You refused to participate.
My dad did a good one for you.
Your dad did a good one. Mike Palm did a great one. Mike Palm threw the leg lift in there. That was pretty good.
Caesar, former producer here at VSiN, he
did a throw.
Dude, he had 0 inhibition.
Yeah.
He just laid it all out there on the line. Gotta respect it.
Yeah. That was a good punch out call. Love the 2-arm pump.
We mentioned it earlier. No NHL today, which cursed the schedule makers. It's not even like all 32 teams are in action tomorrow either. It is still a massive slate. There's 15 games, but why not just have it all?
I don't know what your league does because the NBA makes sense because Sunday's the last day of the regular season. So you want everybody at least with 1 day of rest ready to go to play with whatever's on in store for, or excuse me, whatever's at stake. The NHL doesn't end for another week.
Yes. Well, my thought was it's the final Saturday of the NHL regular season, so maybe you want every team in action, but you, like I said, you don't.
Why would you want to take it? I guess it does make some sense. I mean, you're taking advantage of an open Saturday, but you're only going up against the Masters.
That's point well taken. At least it's not Masters Sunday. That is, though, we will have, because of all of the games that are going on, an ABC triple header as well. And for anybody who doesn't know,
why you're mentioning this.
In addition to all of the work I do here at VSiN, I also do some college football and NHL reporting for ESPN. And so I will be on the Golden Knights Colorado Avalanche game tomorrow night. Very excited for that one. A very important game for the Vegas Golden Knights, who eked out a point yesterday in a game they should have won.
Shocking.
Another overtime loss for the Vegas Golden Knights, which is very disappointing. So the 4-game hot streak under John Tortorella comes to an end. They let in just a wonky bounce goal for Seattle yesterday that it seemed like kind of turned the tide for them. end up going to overtime, losing a shootout, and shootouts have been a problem for Vegas. Fortunately, don't have to worry about that once we get to the postseason. But as for things right now, it has made the Pacific Division, I think, still at least have a little bit of intrigue here. They're a point back of the Edmonton Oilers, who are minus 155 favorites now to ultimately win the Pacific Division. 3 games remaining for all three, them, Vegas, Anaheim. You look at the remaining schedules, all of them kind of similarly priced here, but Edmonton has the advantage, and obviously with the tiebreaker in the division being regulation wins, Vegas isn't going to get that.
So what do you think happens here? I mean, we're at a good spot. The Oilers bet that looked like it was dead. They're now odds-on favorites to get this thing done. I would assume you can get this. I mean, the Canucks game at the end of the season is obviously gravy.
Yes.
So it's the Avalanche care when you play them, and you get this win on the road against the Kings. I feel pretty good about my position, obviously.
As you should. I know we are oppo on that, but you bet the Oilers in season. I bet the Golden Knights pre-flop because I thought just with the talent and the way that this division shakes out, the Golden Knights should be in good position to win it, and they have had ample opportunity. They just haven't really lived up to it. But I'm excited for that game tomorrow. Obviously, the Avs yesterday handled business the way that they needed to against Calgary. They secure officially the President's Trophy. Nathan MacKinnon, with the 3-point day yesterday, has a league best 20th 3-point game of the season, further cementing his odds in the Hart Trophy standings right now. So he was odds on for a while. We saw that number kind of eke out a little bit. He's back to around even money as your favorite there. Connor McDavid, meanwhile, goes from 15-16 to 1, has the 5-point night the other day. And even yesterday, when he was plus 350, when we were talking about this, he's around plus 250 now. So continuously getting bet down as Nikita Kucherov's odds have lengthened. It's going to be a fun final week, though.
Did you find that jump in his odds warranted, McDavid?
Yes, just because of... I mean, I don't think they should have been that long to begin with, to be honest.
Because we talk about all the time, these awards markets have no idea what they're doing. They just react to every single fart in the wind, every good performance. Funny enough, we actually talked about this yesterday on Harvard Handicappers, which is every good performance is worth a jump in the odds. But then Cooper Flagg goes and scores 11 points and gets 11 rebounds and is completely awful, and the Rookie of the Year odds don't move. So I'm curious, same thing in the NHL where, I mean, what about one 5-point performance would jump your odds that much?
That's why I say I think it was.
You've been on the outside looking at this whole time.
I think it was largely incorrectly priced to begin with. Connor McDavid has been the points leader all throughout the season, right? Granted, I mean, Nathan MacKinnon has had an unbelievable season. I think he is the rightful favorite, but should, especially these last handful of games, if McDavid can do what the team needs him to do and put the team on his back, like I said yesterday, to close this thing out. I think that there's ample opportunity for him to still have a shot at that award. As for tonight, okay, so let's recap real quickly, last couple minutes, what we did yesterday on the ice. 1-2 day, unfortunately. I liked that Wild Stars game under, goes way over. It was a playoff style game, just not in terms of the way we think about those tighter checking, more defensive games. Goals all over the place in this one. Flyers money line doesn't come through either against the Red Wings. We did get the Islanders puck line, although that shouldn't have been the sweat that it was, quite frankly. They were out shooting Toronto like crazy, and like we talked about with Mike Palm, it was still a 2-2 game at one point. As for tonight, I did officially cement the parlay that we're going to do in the NBA. Hawks, Nuggets, Rockets, Hornets. So we're going with a 4-legger plus 180.
All right, good luck. I like it. Last night, split, so a small loss on the day in the NBA. Heat get embarrassed yesterday yet again. They cannot get their stuff together. 76ers, Rockets. I thought this was going to be cooked. Got up to 227.5. Embiid ended up not playing, still got there under 225.5. For tonight, 2 plays in the association. We will be homers for just a brief moment in both of these plays. Hornets minus 5.5 and Clippers plus 1.5. So we are going with our hearts tonight, specifically this Clippers game. I can just foresee them going out and laying a complete and utter egg. I will not forget Game 7 last year. That is one of the most underrated losses that team took. And I have been heartbroken a lot by the Los Angeles Clippers. But I think they can get it done tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers, so we'll give them a shot. But Hornets playing against a team that's got nothing to play for. Think they can get it done even at the inflated number. Hornets, Clippers, those are the bets.
I really hope that we're right on the homer play about the Charlotte Hornets, which that, by the way, that was a 2-leg parlay that our guy Zach Cohen gave out in the last segment as well. He liked the Hornets and Hawks, pair that together for, correct me if I'm wrong, what was the price, like around even money? Minus 105 was the price on that 2-legger, so that's another angle you can get down on as well. I was just looking for plus money some way, and I felt like, especially given the names that are being held out of so many games today, just pile them all on. That's a wrap for us today. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out all week. Felt good to be back in the saddle after the vacation. Keep it locked right here, though. Follow the Money is coming up next. Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard. Of course, they're going to talk through the postseason picture in both the NBA and the NHL. Best bets for today. Get into a lot of NFL draft conversation, which we will do plenty of next week as well, as we were under 2 weeks now away from the first round of the draft getting underway. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday.